Hello darling, today we're going to transform thrifted goblets into gorgeous candles. When I'm thrifting, I am always drawn to these gorgeous, colorful goblets. And these I transformed into candles, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. Here's what we need to get started. These are our examples. Very cute. We're going to start with our goblet. I got this one from the thrift shop. It was $3. This is actually a newer goblet, but I would recommend looking for vintage goblets, especially vintage goblets that you think might have lead. You really can't use those as drinking glasses anymore, so they're great for this purpose. Next, I've got a bunch of wax that I'm repurposing. These are just some old chunks of wax. I've also got a bunch of these purple votives. I like to use the same color as the vessel I'm using, so I wanted the wax in the candle to be purple. And I've also got another, if I need it, I have another block of wax. I've got my glass Pyrex dish that's seen better days. I've got some chopsticks. I have my pot of water that I'm going to use for my double boiler. And you can see that my stove, I actually put tin foil in the base of my stove because the last time I made candles, I made a big mess, and I'm still trying to clean up the wax on there. So learn from my mistakes. Cover your surface. I'm covering my counter also. Just have a tea towel. Got a piece of wick. Got my glue gun, and I'm going to use that to put my wick in the bottom. I've got these little wick clips. So I'm going to put my wick into the clip and then glue it to the bottom of my goblet. I've also got a little bit of mulled wine scent to put in my candle. This is styrene. You can get this at the craft store. It helps make your candles just look a little more opaque and smooth. Alright, so let's get this show on the road. I like making my own candles because I can repurpose vessels that otherwise I would donate or throw out or give away. So we're taking our wick. We're just going to put it in, there's a little hole in the bottom of the candle wick. And you can just pull the wick through like that. Now I'm going to pull it almost all the way through, not quite all the way through, and then I'm going to put a dash of glue right on this spot. So I'm going to plug in my glue gun and get that ready. While my glue gun's heating up, I'm going to start to heat up my water and get my wax melting. Normally I would use another pot with double boiler, but since this is just one candle, I'm just going to use my Pyrex and put it right in the boiling water. And I'll just melt the wax right in here, and then I can take it out with a pot holder and pour it right into my candle. So I'm going to start with my little purple candles. I'm just going to throw them in here. You can see I'm just sticking them in my jar. I've got that overheat. And I will need my pot holders. Taking the rest of my wax and adding that to my Pyrex. I don't know how much wax I'm going to need, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. I have some extra wax to add, so I can always add more wax. But I don't want to melt too much wax and then have like a bunch of wax left over. I'm turning the heat down because I don't want the water to boil too quickly, and I don't want it to get too hot. So we're gonna chill and get into the flow of creating something and just let the water heat up slowly. Alright, so my glue gun is warmed up, so I'm just going to take my wick clip and I'm just going to put a little dot of glue right there on the bottom, just so that the wick doesn't come out. I'm going to take my scissors and just clip off the long end of the wick. Like that. So that there's no wick sticking out. And now what I'm going to do is put a glob of glue in the bottom of my goblet, and I'm going to put the wick down the bottom. I'm going to use a chopstick to help me get that into the bottom. I might use 2 chopsticks. Like this. I'm just putting my glue into, just pouring it in there. I put a pretty good glob in there. I don't know if you can see that. Now I'm just going to take my wick, pop it in there, using my chopstick to push it in gently. That's going to hold the wick in the bottom of the goblet, so I'm going to let that cool off. Meanwhile, give my wax a little stir. That's coming along nicely. Oh, this is Romeo. Say hi. Hey, sit down. Should we give him a treat? Good boy. Gentle, gentle. Good boy. Do you want another? You want another one? Okay. Gentle. Good boy. All right. Now I'm going to add my chopstick to the top to hold my wick straight. I'm just wrapping it around a couple times. You just want to make sure your wick is coming up straight through the center of the candle. My wick is long enough that it's not going to fall all the way into my candle. What are you doing? Settle down. Settle down, you. Alright, so I'm looking at this and I think that probably will need a little bit more wax. So I'm going to add this piece in and see if that helps. While we're waiting for the wax to melt, I want to give you another tip. If you're giving these as a gift, this is a nice little extra touch. So once your candle has cooled, you trim the wick, and I like to make a little finished disc to put on top. Whoops. So I just cut out a little circle the same size as the opening out of scrapbook paper. This is kind of like a fancy paper. And then I cut a little, you can just cut a hole if you want, use a hole punch, or I just cut a little star into mine with an X-Acto knife. And you just put this on top of the wick, and it settles in on top of the wax, and it makes it look more finished, like a finished gift. You could wrap this up in cellophane or in wrapping paper, and it makes it really nice. It gives it a really nice touch. Sit. What a good boy. Are you a good boy? Gentle, gentle. Good job. Good job. So our wax is pretty much melted. Now I'm going to add a little bit of this stirring, which will help to make the consistency and the color of the wax even. I just sprinkle some in. There's probably some measurement that I'm supposed to use, but I just wing it. Probably about a tablespoon. Now I'm going to turn my heat off. Your Pyrex with the wax in it is going to be very hot. Please be careful. I have a washcloth that I'm going to use to get it out of the pot. And I'm just going to set it down on this pot holder. I'm also going to use an oven mitt. because I'm trying to grab it by the handle. All right, so here is our wax. I'm just going to set it here. Okay, very hot. We're going to leave the cloth on the Pyrex to remind us that it is hot. Okay, now's the fun part. So we have our goblet already. We have our wick in there. The wick, you can pull it to the side and then recenter it after you get your wax poured. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pull the wax off to the side a little bit and pour my wax in, and then I'm going to recenter the wick. And very carefully, I'm going to pick up my Pyrex. I'm just going to pour it like I'm pouring in some Kool-Aid. There we go. Don't go too fast, don't go too slow. Fill the wax to about 1/2 inch from the top. Okay, now I have some wax left, so I'm going to make another little candle so I don't waste the wax. Now here's my second vessel. Oh, I almost forgot. And here our wax is going to cool. I'm going to put them up on the windowsill to let them cool. The candles are cooling on the windowsill, and I'm going to leave them there for quite a few hours, maybe 3 or 4. When the candles are cool, I'll show you the result. So it's the next day, and yeah, there's been a problem. I wasn't going to show you this part, but then I decided no, this is part of the creative process. So things don't work out, we got to deal with it. So our candle has a giant, this is called a sinkhole. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, it's pretty far down, like it goes, it's like half my finger. So that's not what we want. So we have a couple options. We could leave it the way it is and just burn the candle. We could use a heat gun to smooth out the top. Now, if you are going to make a lot of candles, I'd say definitely invest in a heat gun if you don't have one, because they're great for smoothing out the top of the candle without having to do what I'm going to do right now. So the other option is to remelt the wax. Either remelt all of the wax, or in my case, I'm going to take my leftover wax that I poured into here, which actually comes out really easily. I'm going to melt this, because this is just my extra wax, and I'm going to pour it into the top of the candle and let it finish off the candle so that it's flat. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see how it goes. I just cut my wick off. I'm just going to put it in my Pyrex and put that in my double boiler. Okay, our wax is melted. I'm going to fish out the wick. Alright, so now I'm just going to pour it in here. Alright, so here's our candle. We're just going to gently pour in a little bit of wax until we cover this big hole. So start in the middle, gently, until I get over the top. And there we go. Okay, so I don't really know the science of why the sinkhole happens, but I think I read once that it's because the wax cools down too quickly. So instead of putting this near the cold window, I'm going to actually put it over in the middle of my room where there's less cold air, and hopefully we won't get another sinkhole. But I'm going to leave this wax in the Pyrex just in case we have to refill it. This candle looks great now that I topped off the wax. Got rid of the sinkhole. Smells really good. Nothing better than reusing secondhand items to make something awesome. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.